we need to stop trying to play it off or basically be over emotional about our feelings. Understand, I'm Chocolate Amun Ra, and it's another my class session. Stop being over emotional about our feelings. Some people, you think, oh, that's what I got to do, that's my life. But in reality, it's not. Stop being over emotional. Because what you see on another country, you believe it has an effect what you hear. I'm going to tell you something in a minute. What's going on? We're about to drop this class on you. I'm about to put it in your face. I'm going to tell you like I always tell y'all. It ain't always what it seems to be. Class comes, I tell you lately, class has been a lot different. And that's because due to circumstances and what we need to do and how we need to think. So, bear with it. Bear with it. Class on Sunday is always a learning process. This is what I do want you to understand. But it ain't always about the same thing. And my classes will never be about the same thing. Lately, I've been putting a lot of information out about Africa, right? You know that already, okay? So, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to change your mind. But what I'm trying to do is help let you see what you cannot see because you're allowing your emotions to get the best of you. It's going to be two different type series. One is based on the love of we have for Africa, but do Africa love us? Right? Okay. Now, then understand the conception of what's going on in Africa. And when you be able to just unleash the conception of what you see about Africa, well, maybe you get a better understanding. That's basically what I can say. Like I always tell you, I'm not your preacher. I'm not your pastor. I'm not your minister. I'm not your deacon. I'm not your archaeologist. I'm not your astronomer. I'm not your mathematician. I'm not no scientist. I'm your messenger. And class starts today. We love Africa, but do Africa love us? Welcome to class. Today I'm talking about Africa. I'm talking about Liberia. It's not the first time I discussed about Liberia, but I am discussing about Africa in its whole. Now the reason why I'm doing this in this class session today, Sunday, because I'm going to say it to you and I'm going to say it to you again, you're not going to learn this in church. Church is not talking about Liberia. Church is not talking about Africa in the whole. You ever ask yourself that question? You ever ask yourself why church don't talk about Africa? All black congregation, all white congregation, all Spanish congregation, none of them talk about Africa. They might talk about little pinpoints here and there, but you ever noticed, if you go to church, or if you watch the TV programs, the TV and vandalist programs, Do they talk about church? Ask yourself these questions. It don't even be on your mind why they don't talk about Africa. They don't talk about Africa and trying to figure out how to free the people, how the government is helping slavery, why the 54 nations don't help their neighbors, if you will. I mean, let's just get it clear. Let's just bring it out. I love Africa. But do Africa love me? Do Africa love us? Maybe we seen it a whole new, different type of way. I mean, if we stop being blinded to our own self-esteems and our self-pity, maybe we will see things the way it's supposed to be. I mean, I love Africa. So when you see posts and videos, things like this, I'll show you right now.
The European migrant and refugee emergency has not gone away. Not for this man.
Stay with me, okay? Look at me, look at me, look at me.
Not for this woman.
Rescue blankets, we need rescue blankets.
Rescue blankets.
Not for the volunteers struggling to cope. It started for us at sunrise yesterday, 15 miles off the coast of Libya. The scale of what was happening dawned. Just 3 days ago, official figures for migrants crossing here, 84,000.
Les enfants, yeah? For the children. Yeah.
After what we've seen, that figure will need to be revised upward by thousands and thousands.
Right here.
On the big boats, the so-called double-deckers, they'd had enough. At this point, the rescue boat we're on is already full. This is the deck of the Sea-Watch 2, a German charity rescue boat. The capacity of this ship is 150 people. We are currently carrying about 400 souls, mainly from West Africa, that we picked up today. And if you follow me onto the bridge of the ship, you'll get a sense of the scale of this humanitarian crisis. Look at the radar. We've counted about 15 or 16 of those yellow dots. Every one represents a vessel. Some are migrant boats, some are charity boats, some belong to smugglers. And if you come out this direction, you'll get more of a scale. Excuse me, sir. There's people everywhere on the boat. Excuse me. If you look into the distance there, that large blue boat is what they call a double-decker. That's carrying approximately 700 people on 2 different levels. They've just arrived, and earlier in the day we were seeing people jump off those into the water, which is the nightmare scenario for the charities that are here. There are tough questions to answer here. Are these rescue missions part of the smugglers' business model? What of the politics of this? But for one woman, on one boat, the crisis boils down to this. And as the sun sets, if you're the person bailing the water out of the sinking boat, it amounts to "don't let me drown in the dark."
We need help now. We need help now.
At night, the situation becomes critical. Radio messages bristle with panic. Migrant boats are sinking all around us. So this is the absolute perfect storm as far as a humanitarian crisis and a rescue at sea is concerned. We have a boat, a load of about 500 migrants.
Now, Libya. So you see this clip that I showed you? That's in Libya. Do that look like any of the other nations trying to save these people? I want you to get a better understanding. Do that look like other nations trying to save those people? Huh? You heard what the rescuer stated. Some of those boats are merchants, some of those boats are also smugglers, means smuggling people. Now you tell me, here this private, these volunteers coming in to try the best to help these people. Right? But the government of Libya, why they're not doing that? Or the neighbor of Libya, why they're not trying to do that? Ask yourself this question. Stop being naive. Great Britain's not helping. The French is not helping. Oh, isn't China in Africa? But that's West Africa. But China's there with a military force. Oh, there's American people that's there too. What about South Africa? Why doesn't the South African regime go help the West Africa, those people in Libya? Why? Why? When are y'all gonna understand? You see, you're getting all over emotional and you're getting angry, but you're not asking the right questions. And it's all in your face, but you don't want to tell it. 54 nations that's on the continent, the biggest continent in Africa. And Africa is the biggest continent on the planet. And you're trying to tell me that all these weeks that keep passing by, but we all know that human trafficking never stopped. Slavery never stopped. They just changed the words from slavery to human trafficking. It's just that now you have cameras, cell phones, and little iPads and things like that. You can take pictures of these things. Ask yourself this question. Why the governments, the presidents, the kings, the queens, the warlords in these nations don't do anything? And some of the other countries that so-called live in Africa now, China, America, Great Britain, getting the resources, not paying the people that's living in their area the proper funds or giving them any kind of really proper medication to help the people where they are at, but taking their resources by the billions. But who's allowing this to happen? Let me show you another piece of evidence.
Carter of the Huffington Post. And I think this basically proves who Obama is working for on the issue of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is, of course, the new so-called free trade deal that will outsource more American jobs. They say the following, quote, "The biggest threat to President Barack Obama's trade agenda may be a plan to fight human trafficking, which threatens to reshuffle a major trade pact that includes Malaysia, a nation with a troubling human rights record. the Senate is gearing up to vote on a bill granting Obama so-called fast-track powers to streamline the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but a seemingly uncontroversial human rights provision is giving the administration serious headaches. Last month, the Senate Finance Committee approved an amendment that would bar the administration from fast-tracking trade deals with countries that tolerate human trafficking. Sounds like a common-sense provision to me, does it to you? But the State Department has long included Malaysia on its list of countries with serious...
Do you understand what he was saying? They're going to sign a bill that some of the countries in Africa is going to tolerate the slave trade. Well, guess who's ahead of it? Barack Obama. You see, all that time, we was president, the first black president, right? But all that time, you was so happy to see that first black president and how they used that first black president for now what was to come and what is here. But it always was, is now open, is an open market. Why do you think they killed Gaddafi? Oh, we're going to get to that. I hope you're ready for school today, because I'm going to do the best I can to help explain to you. Money. It's always about business. But let's get back to the Malaysia slave system gets Obama.
Violations, as its government effectively tolerates slavery, including sex slavery. Forced labor is particularly prevalent in the Malaysian electronics industry. Malaysia is one of the 11 nations involved in the TPP talks. If the amendment makes the final bill, Malaysia would have to be exiled from the TPP. Now, here is the stunning part of the article. Quote, that puts the Obama administration in the awkward position of figuring out how to strip out an anti-slavery provision from the fast-track bill. What? Yes, you heard that right. I'm going to read the sentence one more time. This is directly from the article on the Huffington Post. This isn't from me. This is from them. They say, quote, that puts the administration in the awkward position of figuring out how to strip out an anti-slavery provision from the fast-track bill. So in order for business as usual to continue, and in order to serve his own corporate donors, President Obama is not totally sure that slavery is wrong. You know, anybody who's been following the real ins and outs of the Trans-Pacific Partnership all this time, you might actually not be surprised about that.
Now, class, I really, really hope that you got what I just showed you. See, if you don't do your research, you're not going to understand how politics work. It's not about just getting a vote. You elect somebody into the presidency, and then see a lot of things you do not know, because they don't tell the media and the public everything. Because there's so much things going on, you have to do your research. And when these things is put in the media, guess what? Majority of it, you don't believe it. Yes, Obama administration, Obama helped sign that slave trade. And I know a lot of you right now are probably saying, that's a bunch of bull crap. It's not. See, you're going to get your feelings hurt. Because you don't want to know the truth. All he did was help open up the doors for human trafficking to just be open. I already showed you. You've seen all those people in those boats. Boats. Not one boat, not two, not three, but several boats. I already showed you this. I'll show you again.
Cope. The scale. Are you okay? Excuse me? Tonight, the story of those rescued. Have you been to see the doctor? What binds them all together, their experience in Libya. The stories that we've been hearing from the people getting on these boats is stories of savagery in Libya, stories of torture in Libya. People talk about modern day slavery. This feels medieval.
They can shoot people like that. People dying every day. Yeah, Libya is not good.
God save our life because we don't have hope.
If you there in the car inside, they see you, they go shoot you. Every time they shoot our blacks. That's why you go enter this boat.
With hypothermia setting in, this wasn't the place to probe about why people ended up in Libya. We decided to leave the refugee versus economic migrant question for another day. 3 days ago, in fact, an earlier rescue. People from about 8 different countries were on this boat.
No toilet now. No toilet. Just go.
Mommy's coming. I think it's like the address or the number of some relatives. I can't say for sure. It's definitely some numbers.
On the bridge. First up, Ahmed Fayad from Hama, Syria, and how to explain to his boys why they're here. A matter-of-fact account of what it's like to be a slave in 2017.
If you come out like we black, they might kidnap you, they will sell you, you will look for money and pay yourself, this kind of stuff.
I see. And is that what happened to you?
Yes.
Were you bought and sold?
Yes, I was sold to somebody.
Really?
Yes. And I paid.
Last night, the 500 migrants on our boat were transferred to a bigger ship, destined for Italy. They escaped the worst of fates. The ones that floated.
Now what you see is volunteers. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. What you're seeing is volunteers just trying to help those people escape. But back to my first comment that I was telling you, how the ex-president Barack Obama signed off. I already showed you the evidence. You could look these things up. There's right there in front of you. Listen, if you don't care to understand what really is going on, hundreds of people on these boats to escape. You heard the last video, the woman said I was sold. She said I was sold to someone to be a slave. Modern day slavery, 2017. This is not new. I keep trying to tell you that. Now the thing about it is this. So many of you are so angry and you're enriched with hate. But you're not questioning or not coming with the right questions. Why is the 54 nations in Africa try not to stop the slave trade? Why not? Obama helped out. Barack Obama helped sign it. He was used. He was used. So now, we gotta point the finger at him. This is not the first time a black man is being used. It's not the first time. Infiltration, mind games is always around you. Understand, this is why I keep trying to tell y'all. I keep trying to tell y'all. I do my best to show you things in different, every Sunday in different classes. This is why I keep trying to tell y'all. If you don't do your research, it's really just a waste of time. Honestly, it's just, it is. I can show you videos all the time. They was bringing those people in Italy, right? That's what they say. But we don't know for sure. I'm just showing you the video. Just because the man said he was taking them, these people going to video, I don't know. They could be going to someone else. You heard what one man said, nah, Libya's dangerous. Nah, don't go there. They'll kill you like this. This is in Africa. But it's not the only place. I'm going to show you the 10 most countries that slavery. 10. Hold on.
This. Then it evolved into this, and today it looks like this. In fact, there are an estimated 45.8 million people living in modern slavery across 167 different countries. They fall into 3 general categories: children held in the commercial sex trade, adults held in the commercial sex trade, and any other laborer made to work through force, fraud, or coercion. The trafficking victim often looks like anybody else at work, in a mine, on a farm, in a factory. Many are lured by promises of a steady job in another country, only to have their passports confiscated when they arrive. However, many slaves work in their native countries, or even the cities where they were born. According to the Global Slavery Index, these 10 countries are home to the most modern slaves. They each suffer from income inequality, discrimination and classism, and entrenched corruption. Number 10, Indonesia, produces about 35% of the world's palm oil. The many small palm plantations present an immense challenge to inspectors trying to crack down on child labor. The country's many islands are also home to tens of thousands of enslaved fishermen trafficked from Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia. Number 9 is the Democratic Republic of Congo. 20,000 of the DRC's more than 870,000 slaves live in one of the most hellish landscapes on the planet, a vast ore mine in the east of the country. The terrorist group Boko Haram gets overshadowed by ISIS, although it kills more people. When it comes to enslavement, one of its tactics is to give Nigerian entrepreneurs loans and then force them to join their group if they fail to repay fast enough. 7th is Russia. 55% of the slaves there work in construction. Foreigners are lured mainly from nearby Azerbaijan, the Stans, Ukraine, and North Korea, thanks to this border on the far eastern edge of Russia. The North Korean government is the world's largest single slaveholder. Not only does it force more than 1 million of its people to toil in labor camps and other similarly hopeless situations, but it actually loans out some people to work in neighboring China and Russia, then pockets most of their wages. This exploitation generates about $2.3 billion each year for the Kim Jong-un regime. The 5th most enslaved country, Uzbekistan, is the world's 6th largest producer of cotton. It has benefited from forced labor, as the government puts more than 1 million people to work using threats of debt bondage, heavy fines, asset confiscation, and police intimidation. Slave recruiters in Bangladesh promise poor families that their boys will be given a job, only to be enslaved on a faraway island and beaten to clean fish for up to 24 hours straight. Often, these fish are exported as cat food for our pets here in the West. And sometimes the boys meet a gruesome death when they are eaten by tigers while searching for firewood. 3rd is Pakistan, which has suffered through decades of conflict, terrorism, and displacement, especially along its northwestern border with Afghanistan. Its provinces have not raised the minimum age of marriage, which has allowed the widespread problem of forced and child weddings to continue.
Now, I'm going to continue that in class 2. I'm going to continue that so you can see the rest of that. But understand what I'm about to tell you is this. Everything you think you know is not always so. Okay? Everything you think you know is not always so. I'm Chocolate Amun Ra. This is part 1. Slave? He talking about millions of people are slaves. The question is, have you done your homework? Have you done your homework to understand the market about it? Have you? See you in part 2.